Israel's Supreme Court has today ordered the government to draft ultra-Orthodox Jews into the military, delivering a major blow to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that has the potential to unravel his ruling coalition. The court also ordered the government to withdraw funding from any religious schools or yeshivas whose students do not comply with draft notices. Quote unquote, the government wanted to distinguish at the level of law enforcement between individuals based on their group affiliation. This is what the court said in its ruling. It went on to say it was determined that by doing so, the government seriously harmed the rule of law and the principle according to which all individuals are equal before the law. Now, ultra-Orthodox or Haredi Jews have, for all intents and purposes, been exempt from national mandatory military service since Israel's founding. Ultra-Orthodox men spend much of their early lives out of the workforce, entirely devoted to religious study. They view yeshivas as fundamental to the preservation of Judaism, as important to Israel's defense and the military. Haredi parties have been staunchly opposed to efforts to get young ultra-Orthodox men to serve in the military. Netanyahu's fragile government coalition relies on two Haredi parties, United Torah Judaism and Shas, to govern. He has, for weeks, been trying to advance legislation through Israel's parliament, the Knesset, that would enshrine in law a draft exemption for Haredi men. Now, why is this decision crucial? Here's why the decision comes at a critical time. The ruling has come forth when the country is already at a war for nearly 9 months now, and a prime minister whose far-right government lost its veneer of wartime solidarity earlier this month when Benny Gantz, an opposition leader, left Netanyahu's war cabinet. And although Israel's military chiefs publicly decry manpower shortfalls, this ruling is unlikely to result in large numbers of ultra-Orthodox or Haredi Jewish men joining the ranks anytime soon. Netanyahu's coalition depends on two ultra-Orthodox parties to stay in power. These parties view conscription exemptions as crucial as they allow their followers to stay in religious seminaries, avoiding a diverse military that might challenge their conservative traditions. Now, the ultra-Orthodox conscription waiver has become especially charged as Israel's armed forces, made up mostly of teenage conscripts and older civilians mobilized for reserve duty, are overstretched by a multi-front war. We're taking a look at what's happening in Gaza. Netanyahu has very recently said that the shift of focus might now be towards Lebanon. And the court's unanimous ruling stated that at the height of a difficult war, the burden of inequality is more than ever acute. Most Israelis are bound by law to serve in the military, whereas ultra-Orthodox Jewish seminary students have been largely exempt for decades. We'll talk about more about this. Listen in to a reaction that's coming in from a major stakeholder in the meantime.
This ruling actually doesn't have any implications, any practical implications. It's more of a declaration more than anything else. It doesn't add anything to the defense issue at this time. So it's very hard to give any credit to this ruling. It doesn't mean much. In fact, the High Court shouldn't have interfered at all in this issue.
So Netanyahu's coalition member over there saying that this hasn't got much to do with the military problems. The pragmatic ones that many are saying are actually going about on the ground. Now, here's why most Israelis want the ultra-Orthodox to serve. Now, there's a Supreme Court ruling that has come out. Supreme Court ruled that IDF must draft Haredi men. Ultra-Orthodox leaders seek legislation for a legal exemption in the meantime. Of course, equality and fairness needs to be talked about. Eliad Shraga of the Movement for Quality Government called for ruling an end to 76 years of inequality. He criticized the situation where some risk their lives for the state while others do nothing. Political implications have come about. Netanyahu's Likud party insists legislation, not a court ruling, is the solution. Shah's party leader, Aryeh Deri, emphasized the importance of Torah study alongside military service. United Torah Judaism's Moshe Roth, who we just heard, downplayed the ruling, saying little will change practically. There is, of course, military preparedness that many are talking about. Military leaders state openly that they are not ready to draft Haredi men en masse. Ultra-Orthodox men often serve in special units due to religious requirements. There are practical implications, ladies and gentlemen. There's the government tensions that we're going to talk about, and of course the historical context. The Supreme Court has struck down the Haredi exemption multiple times since 1998, citing equal protection principles. Now, this is the situation at the moment on the ground. we're looking at Israel's Supreme Court that has today ordered the government to draft ultra-Orthodox Jews into the military, delivering a blow to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that has the potential to unravel his ruling coalition, because two coalition partners, well, they support this particular conscription exemption. Joining us here on the newsroom is Lev Aran, Israeli columnist and journalist, joining us live from Israel. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Aran. First and foremost, let's get the ball rolling over here. What does this mean for Benjamin Netanyahu? The geopolitical scenario that's at play over here, 9-month-long war already. The judicial overhaul was something that completely divided the people of Israel as well. And now we're looking at this new, fresh ruling. Most Israelis have welcomed the step. The opposition has welcomed the step. But what does this mean for Netanyahu amid a war and his, coalition?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Good evening. How are you? If Netanyahu's government falls, it will not be because of the war in Gaza and not because of the war in Lebanon against Hezbollah. It will be because of domestic reasons in Israel. And this reason is the most serious one, because even among people who voted for Netanyahu, about 70 to 75% of the voters want everybody to go to the army. And all this idea that people are studying religious studies and therefore they will not die in the battlefield and other Jews will die, it is highly unpopular, and Netanyahu knows this. And he knows that his own constituency wants everybody to be part of the military service.
Is this ruling sort of set in motion the downfall of Netanyahu, Mr. Aran?
It could be, because the question is not how many ultra-Orthodox will go to the army now, because even if they go to the army now, it will take at least 6 or 8 months for them to be fruitful in the battlefield. You cannot make a soldier in one day, okay? It takes time. We all know it, because in Israel, girls, boys, everybody goes to the army. The question is different. Once the Supreme Court said that what Netanyahu does is illegal, it means that all these places will not be budgeted by Israel. They will not get money. And since they are banking on governmental money, they may collapse. Many religious schools, many yeshivas, as you said, may collapse because of this ruling. Once they collapse, Netanyahu may lose his, let's say, most loyal parties that were with him since 2009. For the last 15 years, they were his most loyal partners. And he knows that once they will lose money, and if losing the money will cause the closeness of the yeshivas, maybe this government will collapse.
All right, Mr. Aran, very quickly, one last question, very quickly. Tell me, how real and pragmatic is the problem of the IDF getting overstretched? They're needing more conscripts now, aren't they? How pragmatic is that problem?
No, there is no question about this. We have reserve soldiers who've made over 100, 150 days of service at the age of 38, 51, 48. We lost one soldier who was over 50. You don't lose a soldier over 50 who is not a high-rank officer if you don't need each and every soldier. So yes, we need each and every Jewish citizen of Israel to be part of the army. I think there is quite a consensus about it.
Well, the Judaism Torah party, Mr. Roth over there, we just heard him say that nothing much is going to change on the ground. It seems like, Mr. Aran, we'll have to wait and find out as to what is going to be the geopolitical scenario, what is going to be the cultural impact on ground now that ultra-Orthodox, the Haredi Jews, well, they've lost their conscription waiver. Many thanks for joining with us and helping us out with your insightful inputs.